Now we start another topic, consumer theory, and in this what we try to understand are why do we buy what we buy and what factors get into these kinds of decisions. Now, as far as our behavior as a consumer goes, we have already looked at a part of it through the demand analysis, where we found that people tend to buy more of a product if the price is low and less of a product if the price is high. Now what we want to do in a rigorous fashion, if you like, to show why do we have the demand curve, or to explain why is the demand curve downward sloping or upward sloping and things of that nature. Now to understand consumer behavior, there are two things we require. The first one being consumer preferences. I'll write this down. Oops. Consumer preferences. And here what we try to understand is, do you like tea or coffee? Which one would you prefer, or you don't really care? Another question we ask here is, if you have more of something, do you like it or you hate it? So consumer preferences. So this is one part. The second part which goes along with this one is our budget constraint. Budget constraint. And all of us, whatever we buy, our choices get limited by how much money we have in our pocket. So budget constraint also becomes very important. So what we require to understand consumer behavior is essentially the preferences of people like you and me, and also about budget constraint. So what we'll do in terms of this lecture, as a first step, we'll try to understand the budget constraint, and once we have understood this, we'll move on to understand consumer preferences, and when we have studied each of them independently, we'll bring them together and look at consumer decision making. So let us look at a very simple example of the budget constraint. And all along when we study budget constraint, we'll assume this person saves nothing and borrows nothing, or in other words, the budget is a binding constraint. You cannot go over it or you cannot be under it. Now look at one good case. Suppose I earn $10 income and my whole income is spent on apples. That's the only thing I buy. And if the price of an apple is $1, how many apples can I buy? And what you'll find is, how many apples can I buy? I'll just write number of apples that I can buy will equal 10. Now the income that I earn as in dollars is called nominal income, and what I can buy or afford with that income, given income, nominal income and prices, is my real income. So here are the definitions. What is nominal income? Nominal income is the income we receive as in dollars. In the example that I gave you, the nominal income of that person is $10. Then real income. What is real income? It is simply nominal income adjusted for prices or price level. In the previous example, the real income of this person is 10 apples, the quantity he or she can buy given nominal income and prices. So in a way, real income, what it reflects are consumption choices available to a person. Higher the real income, higher will be the number of choices you have, or more will be the number of consumption choices you have. So lower real income implies lower consumption choices, Higher real income implies more consumption choices. Now just think about it. How can real income of a person increase? There are only two ways it can happen. One, either the nominal income increases or and the prices fall. And that's how real income will increase, or this person will have more consumption choices. Now, this example that I have given you is very simple. In a real world setting, we spend money on a large number of goods, maybe 50, 70, or maybe hundreds of goods. And so we need to figure out how to calculate real income in a real world situation. Nominal income is really easy. That is, whatever money you get in dollars, that's your nominal income. Now we want to calculate real income in real world situation. And we already know, based off our simple example, that there are two bits of information we need. One is the information about nominal income, and which is fairly straightforward. For example, if I make $10,000 a year, that is my nominal income. So to get information on nominal income is really easy. But then I spend money on hundreds of different items, and to make an adjustment for prices, I'll need prices of all the items that I spend my money on. Now, if I were to make an adjustment based on my nominal income and say hundreds of different prices of the goods that I spend my money on, I use those prices, it will make life very difficult for me. So in order to circumvent that, what statisticians have done is they have come up with what is called a price index number. And let us look at the formal definition of price index number. Now, what price index number reflects is the average level of prices that are relevant to a typical economic agent. It's just one number, and so if we have information on one number instead of 100 different prices, life is going to be much easier for us to calculate real income. So this is what statisticians have done. They have constructed what is called a price index number. And in the real world, there are two examples. One price index number that is being commonly used is called Consumer Price Index, or CPI in short. This is very popular, and they should know the definition of CPI or what it means. Consumer Price Index, as the name suggests, reflects average level of prices relevant to a typical consumer. And what statisticians have done, for example, for the US, is that they have constructed a typical consumer, looked at this person's consumption basket, how many fruits does he buy, how much of meat does he buy, and so on. And then what they do is they'll find out the prices of each of these items, and they will weight them, and then they'll figure out an average level of prices that is relevant to a typical consumer. Producer price index is another popular price index number, and what this reflects is average level of prices relevant to a typical producer. Once we know the price index number, whether it is CPI or PPI, consumer price index or producer price index, we can figure out real income fairly easy. And this is the formula we use. That is, real income is equal to nominal income divided by the relevant price index number, and this ratio times 100. Now consider the following simple example. Suppose the income that I received in 1990 was, say, $10,000, and the CPI in 1990 was say 200. Based on these numbers, what will be my real income? So what you do is you plug in $10,000, divide that by 200, and this thing times this ratio times 100, and this will give you the real income, and that will equal $5,000 in 1990 prices. 1990 prices. So this is the real income. This is what I could buy given my nominal income and prices. Now consider another example. Suppose my nominal income in 2013 is say $100,000, and I'm just typing this out so you can see as well, and the CPI in 2013, just as an example, equals 3,000. Calculate my real income in 2013, how much will that be, and compare it to my real income in 1990. Now you can do this calculation on your own, and what you'll find is the following: that my real income in 2013, that is what I can buy given my nominal income and prices, is less than my real income in 1990 when I was receiving a nominal income of $10,000. So what has happened is, though my nominal income has increased 10 times, prices have increased more than that, that is 15 times, and so my real income has decreased, or in other words, I have become worse off in 2013 relative to 1919. So this is what we do. This is how we calculate real income, and then we make comparisons. Is a person better off, say now, relative to the past, or worse off in terms of what this person can buy? So this is to give you an idea about real income and the difference between real and nominal income. In the next video, what we'll do is we will look at a too good case, because what we want to do is be able to draw diagrams, and so we can draw diagrams when we have only two goods, and so that's what we'll do in the next video.